50 insane facts about Pennsylvania. Did you know Pennsylvania has a town that's been on fire underground for over 60 years? Or that it's home to the oldest pretzel bakery in America, the most haunted battlefield on the continent, and a highway tunnel inhabited by thousands of bats? How about the fact that Pennsylvania produces more mushrooms than any other state, and that Hershey smells like chocolate? Well, buckle up. Pennsylvania is bursting with unexpected, bizarre, historically wild facts. And we've got 50 of them for you. So, let's get right into it. Fact 50. The only state with its own navy during the Revolution. Before the U.S. Navy existed, Pennsylvania fielded its own naval force on the Delaware River. The Pennsylvania Navy consisted of row galleys, fireships, and armed boats that harassed British vessels trying to reach Philadelphia. In 1777, the Pennsylvania Navy fought the British fleet at Fort Mifflin in one of the war's most intense naval battles. The states took defense seriously enough to build warships when the Continental Congress couldn't. Fact 49. The great mushroom capital of America. Pennsylvania produces over 425 million pounds of mushrooms annually, more than 60% of the entire nation's supply. Kennett Square bills itself as the mushroom capital of the world, and they're not exaggerating. Drive through Chester County, and you'll see specialized mushroom houses everywhere. Long, low buildings where billions of fungi grow in climate-controlled darkness. There's even an annual mushroom festival where mushroom ice cream is served. Fact 48. Bigger historical impact than its size suggests. At 46,055 square miles, Pennsylvania ranks 33rd in size, yet it punches way above its weight in American history. The Declaration of Independence was signed here. The Constitution was written here. The Continental Congress met here. Gettysburg turned the Civil War here. Without Pennsylvania, there might not be a United States. Fact 47. Home to the Grand Canyon of Pennsylvania. Pine Creek Gorge, known as the Grand Canyon of Pennsylvania, plunges nearly 1,500 feet deep and stretches 47 miles through the Tioga State Forest. The gorge walls are covered in hemlock and hardwood forests that explode in fall colors: reds, oranges, and yellows so intense they look painted on. The Pine Creek Rail Trail runs along the gorge floor, offering 62 miles of biking through scenery that rivals anything out west. Waterfalls cascade down the canyon walls. Black bears roam the forests. Fact 46. The chocolate town that smells like dessert. Hershey, Pennsylvania doesn't just make chocolate, it exudes chocolate. Depending on wind direction and which factory is running, the entire town smells like cocoa. Milton Hershey built an entire town around his chocolate factory, complete with streetlights shaped like Hershey's Kisses, streets named Chocolate Avenue and Cocoa Avenue, and an amusement park, Hershey Park, that started as a leisure garden for factory workers. The Hershey Hotel, Hershey Gardens, Hershey Theater, everything bears his name. Fact 45. The turnpike that pioneered American highways. The Pennsylvania Turnpike, opened in 1940, was America's first long-distance superhighway. It revolutionized automobile travel with its limited access design, gentle curves, and tunnels blasted through mountains. The turnpike's design influenced the interstate highway system that followed. But here's the weird part. Sections of the original turnpike were abandoned in the 1960s when the road was realigned, leaving 13 miles of perfectly preserved highway slowly decaying in the woods. Fact 44. A town that's been burning since 1962. Centralia, Pennsylvania is a real-life Silent Hill. An underground coal mine fire ignited in 1962, likely from burning trash in an old mine pit, and it's still burning today. Over 60 years later, the fire spread through the coal seams beneath the town, creating toxic gas emissions, unstable ground that collapses into sinkholes, and smoke venting from cracks in the earth. Today, only about 5 people remain in a town that once held 1,000. Highway 61 is buckled and cracked from the heat below, with steam and smoke rising from fissures. Fact 43. The most haunted battlefield in America. Gettysburg isn't just the Civil War's turning point. It's reportedly America's most haunted location. Over 3 days in July 1863, 51,000 men were killed, wounded, or went missing. Ghost tours run nightly through the battlefield, historic buildings, and Devil's Den rock formation. Witnesses report phantom soldiers, sounds of battle, apparitions in period clothing, and unexplained phenomena at locations like the Farnsworth House, in which still has bullet holes from the battle. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, walking Gettysburg's fields at dusk evokes something powerful. History refusing to stay buried. Fact 42. Cheesesteak rivalries that approach religious war. The Philadelphia cheesesteak isn't just a sandwich, it's a cultural battleground where passion exceeds reason. Pat's King of Steaks and Geno's Steaks sit across the street from each other in South Philly, each claiming to have invented the cheesesteak. The sandwich itself is simple: thinly sliced ribeye, melted cheese whiz, American or provolone, on an amoroso roll. The ordering process has rules. Know what you want. Order efficiently. Whiz wit means cheese whiz with onions. Don't hold up the line. The debates over which shop is better, whether whiz is acceptable, and what constitutes an authentic cheesesteak approach theological intensity. Fact 41. The groundhog that predicts weather poorly. Every February to end, the world turns its attention to Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania, where a groundhog named Phil emerges from his burrow to predict spring's arrival. Punxsutawney Phil has been making predictions since 1887, though his accuracy rate hovers around 40% worse than flipping a coin. The event draws 40,000 people to a town of 6,000. The inner circle men in top hats who care for Phil claim he's the same immortal groundhog, sustained by groundhog punch that extend. Fact 40. Tornado Alley's lesser-known cousin. Pennsylvania averages 16 tornadoes per year, which seems modest until you realize they hit a densely populated state with limited warning time. The state's mountainous terrain creates unpredictable conditions where tornadoes form quickly and track erratically. The 1985 Moshannon State Forest tornado killed 65 people at a summer camp, one of the deadliest tornadoes in U.S. history. Pennsylvania tornadoes are often rain-wrapped, meaning they're invisible inside thunderstorms until they're on top of you. Fact 39. Wawa, the convenience store cult. Wawa isn't just a convenience store, it's a mid-Atlantic cultural institution that inspires cult-like devotion. Started as a dairy farm in 1902, Wawa evolved into a chain of stores selling made-to-order hoagies, coffee, and convenience items. The touchscreen ordering system revolutionized fast food. Wawa's hoagies challenged cheesesteak shops for local loyalty. People plan road trips around Wawa stops. Fact 38. The Amish country? That's not what you expect. Lancaster County hosts America's oldest Amish settlement, founded in the 1720s. About 40,000 old order Amish live there, maintaining lifestyles that reject modern technology. But here's the complexity: it's not a living museum. Some use cell phones for business. Many Amish-made products, furniture, quilts, food are sold to tourists through non-Amish vendors. Lancaster County is beautiful, agricultural, and culturally fascinating, but treating it like colonial Williamsburg disrespects the people who actually live there. Fact 37. The Poconos, honeymoon capital turned kitsch. The Pocono Mountains were once America's premier honeymoon destination, famous for resorts with heart-shaped hot tubs, champagne glass whirlpool baths, and round beds. The 1950s-80s were peak Pocono honeymoon era, when newlyweds flocked to resorts like Cove Haven and Penn Hills. The aesthetic was aggressively romantic in a kitschy way: rooms themed like Roman temples or Arabian tents, mirrors on ceilings, elaborate fantasy suites. Many resorts have closed or been abandoned, leaving creepy ruins that urban explorers photograph. Fact 36. 4 seasons in extremes. Pennsylvania doesn't do mild seasons. Winters bring lake-effect snow from Lake Erie that buries Erie in 100+ inches annually. Summers get humid and hot, with heat indexes exceeding 100F. Fall is spectacular. Pennsylvania's forests explode in autumn colors that attract leaf peepers from around the world. The state spans climate zones. Southeastern Pennsylvania is humid subtropical, while the northern tier is humid continental. Fact 35. The Liberty Bell's famous crack. The Liberty Bell in Philadelphia, one of America's most iconic symbols, has a crack that nearly splits it in two. The bell was cast in 1752 and cracked the first time it was rung. The famous crack appeared sometime in the early 1800s. The exact date is disputed and slowly expanded. The bell rang for the last time in 1846 for George Washington's birthday, after which the crack widened so much that ringing became impossible. The crack gives the bell its character, a symbol of imperfection and resilience. Fact 34. Pierogi capital of America. Pennsylvania, particularly Pittsburgh and its surrounding areas, claims to be America's pierogi capital. These polished dumplings, dough pockets filled with potato, cheese, sauerkraut, or meat, are a staple of Pennsylvania cuisine, thanks to massive Eastern European immigration in the late 1800s and early 1900s. Church basements across western Pennsylvania hold pierogi-making sessions, where volunteers produce thousands for fundraisers. Mrs. T's Pierogies, based in Shenandoah, is the nation's largest pierogi producer. The Pittsburgh Pirates have a pierogi race at PNC Park, where people in giant pierogi costumes race between innings. Fact 33. The Reading Terminal Market's food paradise. Since 1893, Reading Terminal Market in Philadelphia has been a covered market offering an overwhelming array of food. You'll find Pennsylvania Dutch vendors selling fresh pretzels, Lancaster meats, and baked goods alongside Asian cuisine, soul food, Mexican food, Middle Eastern dishes, artisanal cheese, fresh produce, and famous establishments like Dennick's, known for roast pork sandwiches that rival Cheesesteaks, and Byler's Donuts. The market operates in a space below what was once Reading Railroad's terminal. It survived urban decay, highway construction threats, and changing food trends to remain one of America's great public markets. Fact 32. The state that invented the American suburb. Levittown, Pennsylvania, built 1952 to 1958, was one of the first mass-produced suburban developments, creating the template for post-war American suburbia. Builder William Levitt applied assembly line techniques to housing construction, building affordable homes for returning veterans. Levittown offered the American dream: single-family homes with yards, modern appliances, and proximity to Philadelphia. It also established suburban patterns that defined 20th century America: car dependency, racial segregation through restrictive covenants which Levitt enforced, and sprawling development. Fact 31. One of the oldest settlements in America, Philadelphia was founded in 1682 by William Penn, making it older than many European cities' current incarnations. The city's age shows in layers: colonial row houses on narrow streets, cobblestone alleys, centuries-old churches and graveyards, and Independence Hall, where both the Declaration of Independence and Constitution were signed. Elfritz Alley, dating to 1703, claims to be America's oldest continuously inhabited residential street. Walk Old City Philadelphia, and you're stepping on the same streets as Ben Franklin, touching the same brick buildings. Fact 30. The coal mines that powered America. Pennsylvania's anthracite coal region in the Northeast fueled the Industrial Revolution. From the 1800s through the mid-1900s, immigrant miners, Irish, Italian, Polish, Slovak, Lithuanian, descended into dangerous mines to extract hard coal. Mining towns like Scranton, Wilkes-Barre, and Pottsville became centers of labor history, including the Molly Maguires, an Irish secret society that fought mine owners through violence and pivotal union battles. The coal industry's decline devastated these communities, leaving environmental damage, acid mine drainage, subsidence, strip mines, and economic depression. Fact 29. Underground Railroad hub. Pennsylvania's position between South and North made it crucial to the Underground Railroad. The state hosted hundreds of safe houses, tunnels, and secret routes that helped enslaved people escape to freedom. William Still, the father of the Underground Railroad, operated from Philadelphia, documenting the stories of escaped slaves and coordinating their journeys north. Harriet Tubman made multiple trips through Pennsylvania, guiding escaped slaves to Canada. Fact 28. Pretzels twisted into Pennsylvania culture. Julius Sturgis founded America's first commercial pretzel bakery in Lititz, Pennsylvania in 1861, creating an industry that flourishes today. Pennsylvania produces 80% of America's pretzels. The soft pretzel, large, doughy, covered in coarse salt, is a Philadelphia street food staple, sold from carts, served at sporting events, and eaten with mustard, preferably spicy brown. The pretzel's twisted shape supposedly represents arms crossed in prayer, a Christian symbol adopted by European monks. Fact 27. The Battle of Gettysburg changed America. From July 13, 1863, the Civil War's largest battle occurred near Gettysburg, a small Pennsylvania town. Over 165,000 soldiers fought in brutal combat across farmland, through town streets, and on strategic hills like Little Round Top and Cemetery Ridge. The Union victory marked the war's turning point, though fighting continued nearly 2 years. President Lincoln's Gettysburg Address, delivered 4 months later at the battlefield cemetery dedication, redefined the war's purpose and American identity in 272 words. Fact 26. The bell that plays music in Hershey. Hershey Park's Kissing Tower, formerly the Hershey's Kiss-shaped observation tower, plays musical bells that can be heard throughout the park and surrounding town. But Pennsylvania's real bell innovation, the carillon. The state has more carillons, large sets of tuned bells played from a keyboard, than almost anywhere in America. Bell culture connects to Pennsylvania's religious heritage. Quakers, Moravians, and other Protestant sects established churches with bell towers that called communities to worship. Fact 25. Steamtown, when railroads were king. Scranton's Steamtown National Historic Site preserves the history of steam-era railroads, when Pennsylvania was the nation's railroad hub. The state's coal powered the trains. Pennsylvania Steel built the rails. The Pennsylvania Railroad was once America's largest corporation. The industry shaped Pennsylvania's economy, geography, and culture. Fact 24. The ghost stories of Eastern State Penitentiary. Eastern State Penitentiary in Philadelphia, operating from 1829 to 1971, pioneered the Pennsylvania system of solitary confinement meant to inspire penitence, hence, penitentiary. The prison's castle-like appearance hid a revolutionary radial design, with cell blocks extending like spokes from a central hub. The prison's philosophy, complete isolation, no communication between prisoners, was considered humane reform at the time, but is now recognized as psychologically damaging. After closure, the prison decayed into atmospheric ruins before being preserved as a museum. Fact 23. Valley Forge's Winter of Suffering. In winter 1777-78, the Continental Army encamped at Valley Forge, enduring catastrophic conditions while the British occupied Philadelphia, 20 miles away. Soldiers lacked adequate food, clothing, and shelter. Some literally had no shoes, leaving bloody footprints in snow. Yet the army survived. Baron von Steuben trained the troops in European military tactics, transforming a ragged militia into a professional fighting force. Fact 22. Fallingwater, architecture's masterpiece. Frank Lloyd Wright's Fallingwater, built over a waterfall in southwestern Pennsylvania in 1935, is considered one of the greatest architectural achievements in American history. The house doesn't just sit near the waterfall, it's built directly over it, with terraces cantilevered over the cascading water. It's an audacious design that integrates architecture with nature in ways that still feel revolutionary. The house was commissioned by the Kaufman family of Pittsburgh department store fame as a weekend retreat. Fact 21. The tunnels of Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh has more bridges than Venice 446 vs 391, but it also has something Venice lacks: vehicular tunnels boring through mountains. The Liberty Tubes, Squirrel Hill Tunnel, Fort Pitt Tunnel, and others were engineering marvels when built, allowing Pittsburgh to expand beyond its river valleys by cutting through the steep hills that define its topography. Driving through these tunnels, especially the Fort Pitt Tunnel, creates dramatic reveals as you emerge to sudden views of the city skyline. Fact 20. The Yuengling Legacy. D.G. Yuengling and Son in Pottsville, founded in 1829. operating brewery. The brewery survived Prohibition by producing near beer, low-alcohol beer, and dairy products. Today, it remains family-owned, currently the 5th generation, and produces lager that's a cult favorite in its distribution area, mostly East Coast, and a few other states. Pennsylvanians defend Yuengling aggressively. Fact 19. The Mummers Parade's organized chaos. Every New Year's Day, Philadelphia hosts the Mummers Parade, a bizarre, elaborate tradition dating to the 1700s. Mummers are organized clubs that spend all year preparing costumes, routines, and performances. The parade features string bands, fancy brigades, wenches, and comics in ornate costumes that cost thousands of dollars. The aesthetic is overwhelming. Sequins, feathers, satin, elaborate makeup, choreographed routines, and musical performances. Fact 18. Ricketts Glen's Waterfall Wonderland. Ricketts Glen State Park contains 22 named waterfalls along a 7.2-mile trail system, including Ganoga Falls, dropping 94 feet. The Falls Trail Loop is one of the East Coast's most spectacular but challenging day hikes, requiring scrambling over rocks, crossing streams, and navigating steep terrain. The payoff is hiking through an old-growth forest past waterfall after waterfall, each with its own character. Fall foliage season transforms the hike into a kaleidoscope of colors, reflecting off cascading water. Fact 17. Shoofly pie and Pennsylvania. Dutch food. Pennsylvania Dutch cuisine. Despite the name, it's German, not Dutch. Deutsch was anglicized to Dutch, gave America distinctive dishes. Shoofly pie, a molasses-based pie so sweet it supposedly attracts flies you must shoo away, is an acquired taste beloved by locals. Scrapple, a pork product made from scraps and cornmeal formed into loaves, then sliced and fried, is breakfast in many Pennsylvania households. This cuisine emphasizes using every part of the animal, preserving harvests, and hearty portions for farming families. Fact 16. The nuclear accident that changed everything. In March 1979, 3 Mile Island Nuclear Power Plant near Harrisburg experienced a partial meltdown, the worst nuclear accident in U.S. history. Equipment failure combined with operator confusion caused the reactor core to overheat, releasing radioactive gases. Ultimately, the containment structures prevented catastrophic release, and health impacts were minimal. But 3 Mile Island killed America's nuclear energy expansion. Fact 15. Deer populations that approach biblical plague. Pennsylvania hosts approximately 1.5 million white-tailed deer, so many that they're considered overpopulated. Deer vehicle collisions number over 100,000 annually, killing drivers and destroying cars. Deer devour gardens, destroy crops, and strip forests of undergrowth, preventing forest regeneration. Pennsylvania's hunting culture helps manage the population. The state sells over 700,000 deer hunting licenses annually, and the first day of deer season is practically a state holiday when many people take off work. Fact 14. The Pocono Raceway's tricky triangle. Pocono Raceway, located in the mountains, is one of NASCAR's most unique tracks. The 2.5-mile triangular track has 3 turns instead of 4, each with different banking angles, creating drastically different challenges. Long straightaways allow high speeds, but the varying turns destroy handling consistency. Fans love it because unpredictability creates exciting racing. Fact 13. The Capitol's extravagance. Pennsylvania's state capitol in Harrisburg, completed in 1906, is one of America's most ornate government buildings. President Teddy Roosevelt called it the handsomest building I ever saw at its dedication. The rotunda features paintings, tiles, and architecture inspired by European Renaissance and St. Peter's Basilica. The building cost $13 million, outrageously expensive for the time, and led to corruption prosecutions of officials who profited from inflated contracts. Fact 12. The Little League World Series. Williamsport, Pennsylvania hosts the Little League World Series every August, bringing youth baseball teams from around the world to compete. Little League Baseball was founded in Williamsport in 1939, and the World Series has been played there since 1947. The tournament draws massive crowds to watch 11-13-year-olds play baseball with surprising skill and intensity. The event represents wholesome Americana small-town Pennsylvania celebrating youth sports while the world watches. Fact 11. The steel industry that built America. Pittsburgh was synonymous with steel from the late 1800s through most of the 1900s. Andrew Carnegie built his steel empire there, using innovations like the Bessemer process to produce steel efficiently. Pennsylvania steel built America's skyscrapers, bridges, railroads, ships, and weapons for 2 world wars. The industry created enormous wealth for industrialists and jobs for immigrant workers while polluting rivers and air so badly that Pittsburgh earned the nickname, "Hell with the lid off." Fact 10. Hex signs and barn stars. Pennsylvania Dutch barns often feature colorful circular geometric designs called hexons. These folk art pieces, painted on barn facades or created as decorative objects, feature symmetrical patterns with stars, hearts, flowers, and other motifs. Some claim they're good luck symbols or protective magic, the hex connection. Scholars argue they're purely decorative, and the hex association is a 20th century invention by tourists seeking quaintness. Fact 9. Carnegie's library philanthropy. Andrew Carnegie, the Pittsburgh steel magnate, funded over 2,500 libraries worldwide, including hundreds in Pennsylvania. Carnegie believed in the gospel of wealth, that the rich should use their fortunes for public good. His libraries, built in communities across Pennsylvania from 1889 to 1919, democratized access to books and learning. Small-town Pennsylvania is dotted with Carnegie libraries, often beautiful buildings that remain community centers. Fact 8. The Erie Maritime Mystery. Presque Isle State Park on Lake Erie provides Pennsylvania with 11 miles of shoreline on the Great Lakes, creating beaches, recreational boating, and the only seacoast, technically freshwater, but it feels like ocean in the state. The lake's shallow depth and sudden storms have sunk hundreds of vessels. The region's maritime history includes the Battle of Lake Erie 1813, when Oliver Hazard Perry defeated the British fleet in a pivotal War of 1812 engagement. Fact 7. The Anthracite Coal Region's environmental catastrophe. Northeastern Pennsylvania's coal mining left environmental devastation. Acid mine drainage turns streams orange, subsidence collapses ground into sinkholes. Calm banks waste coal piles dominate landscapes, and abandoned mines honeycomb the subsurface. The Lackawanna River, flowing through Scranton, was once so polluted that it caught fire. The Knox Mine disaster 1959, when the Susquehanna River broke through into a mine, killing 12 miners and flooding the entire Wyoming Valley mine network, marked the beginning of the end for deep mining in the region. Fact 6. The Appalachian Trail's Pennsylvania section. The Appalachian Trail traverses 229 miles of Pennsylvania, the longest stretch in any state. It's notoriously rocky, endless fields of jagged rocks that destroy boots and ankles, earning it the nickname Rocksylvania. Pine Grove Furnace State Park marks the trail's approximate halfway point, where through hikers traditionally complete the half-gallon challenge, eating a half-gallon of ice cream in one sitting to celebrate reaching the midpoint of their 2190-mile journey from Georgia to Maine. The Pennsylvania section also passes through beautiful areas. Hawk Mountain Sanctuary premier raptor migration viewing, the Lehigh Gap's dramatic views, and Delaware Water Gap. Fact 5. Birch beer, Pennsylvania's root beer alternative. Birch beer, a soft drink made from birch bark extract, is a Pennsylvania staple that confuses outsiders. It's similar to root beer, but with the distinct wintergreen-like flavor. Pennsylvanians grow up drinking it and consider it normal, while visitors taste it once and decide it tastes like toothpaste. Birch beer comes in multiple varieties: red, white, and brown, each with slightly different flavors. Fact 4. Caves that rival anything underground. Penn's Cave, near State College, is America's only all-water cavern. Tour visitors explore the entire cave by boat, floating through chambers where stalactites reflect in the underground lake. Laurel Caverns, Pennsylvania's largest cave, offers walking tours through massive rooms and wild caving experiences where you crawl through undeveloped passages. Crystal Cave features delicate formations and was discovered in 1871 when a quarry blast opened a hidden chamber. Pennsylvania's limestone geology creates spectacular caves, and unlike some states that keep caves protected and closed, Pennsylvania embraced cave tourism early, developing sites that allow underground exploration while preserving formations that took millennia to form. Fact 3. Fossil beds where ancient seas left their mark. The Devonian period 419,359 million years ago left Pennsylvania covered in marine fossils. Penn-Dixie Fossil Park and Nature Reserve near Erie allows visitors to keep fossils. They find trilobites, brachiopods, crinoids, and other ancient sea creatures. The Pennsylvanian period 323,298 million years ago is literally named after the state because coal deposits formed from vast swamp forests are so well preserved here. Finding a 400-million-year-old trilobite in a Pennsylvania creek connects you to deep time in ways that feel almost magical. Fact 2. The painter who captured rural America. Andrew Wyeth, one of America's most famous realist painters, lived and worked in Chadds Ford, Pennsylvania. His paintings of the Brandywine Valley weathered barns, rolling hills, subtle landscapes defined a vision of rural America. The Brandywine River Museum of Art in Chadds Ford houses the largest collection of Wyeth family art. Andrew, his father N.C. Wyeth, and his son, Jamie Wyeth, are all acclaimed artists. Wyeth's work celebrates Pennsylvania's rural character at a time when industrialization and suburbanization were transforming the state. Fact 1. Pennsylvania, where America was invented and reinvented. From William Penn's Holy Experiment in Religious Tolerance to Benjamin Franklin's innovation in Philadelphia, from the signing of the Declaration of Independence to the Constitutional Convention, from the Underground Railroad to the Battle of Gettysburg, from steel mills that built skyscrapers to tech companies that drive innovation today, Pennsylvania has been present for America's defining moments. It's a state of contradictions, urban sophistication and rural conservatism, industrial might and agricultural tradition, migrant diversity and insular communities, environmental beauty and industrial scars, historical significance and forward-looking innovation. Pennsylvania gave America soft pretzels and cheesesteaks, democracy and dissent, industrial power and labor movements, Mr. Rogers and Andy Warhol. The Keystone State isn't just a nickname. Pennsylvania literally holds together American history, culture, and geography. From the coal mines to the Capitol, from groundhogs to Gettysburg, from chocolate towns to burning ghost towns, Pennsylvania is quintessentially American, ambitious, flawed, innovative, stubborn, diverse, and always surprising.